All right, second time into Champ Select presented by HyperX, as we do have the Varus, the Vayne, and the Bard banned out by HLE. LYON responding by banning out the Jace, the Vi, and the Gnar.
Yeah, I like the respect given to Isles. That Bard yesterday was clean, and I think it's something where he can be active on the map.
Ori and Nocturne both up, so the team's going to have to decide which do you want, because very unlikely that HLE would want to give over both of those to LYON. So you kind of have to make that call. Do we prefer Nocturne? I think most teams do like Nocturne because of the pairings with champions like Aurora that are really prevalent in the meta.
Also very good at attacking the Orianna in the side lane when they're going for that setup. So I think that's why we see the Nocturne first, and gives that opportunity to then try and play for these 1-3-1s and have that backup, the little shadow in the pocket to help you out.
And now I'm kind of thinking about things like potential of, you know, like Wukong Nocturne and Wukong plus Orianna, you know, things that are kind of like team fight, explosive.
Rumble open as well.
Could work so well with that. Yeah, you could look towards that. It might just be Karma Ezreal, which would, there's no way we're not going to pick Ori though.
Wow.
There it is. Ezreal and Lee Sin locked in instead.
You know what they're doing is they want to play Akali into it.
Yeah.
I think Saint wants the melee matchup. He's saying, you play the Orianna, I dare you. I'm going to pick a melee matchup into it, and they're going to try to just bet it on that. I mean, which obviously is a high risk. No one gives over Nocturne plus Ori. But
they're already picking champions that are like, we're no longer there when you do the shockwave, right? Like, Lee Sin dashes out, the Ezreal has that arcane shift, like, trying to time that combo, looking kind of difficult with the champions that I see on the screen. So it does feel like that's going to be the call here from LYON. Get Saint on to pick he's comfortable with and try and avoid that combo to begin with.
You know, I honestly really respect it because this is obviously incredibly risky. This is considered the best mid-jungle duo on the patch. But by giving it, you can have a pre-prep draft for it. You can know exactly what the game plan is, how you want to play around it, and you can look to really punish in that way.
And that's what you talked about in game one, right? Inspired himself, saying when I'm up against a team that I think is better than us, we have to play risky. We have to take these gambles, and they're doing it here in the draft. Third pick for HLE will be the Misfortune.
I feel like it's probably Akali, but there is a possibility of going a different angle too. His Sylas has been great. His Yone is good. I would be surprised if it is just kind of like standard control mage. I think it is going to be a melee champion. I think they're going to look aggressive. Unless they want to prioritize support, but I just can't see it. There's the Akali.
Yeah, I prefer the Akali over the Sylas because I'm not over the PTSD from yesterday. So the Akali feels a little bit better to me in this position and works very well with kind of like Lee Sin wanting to jump in on top of targets, the Akali there to help assassinate. Very threatening in the side lane as well. I think it's a good option.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this is what they were setting up for, you know, as I mentioned when they let that Ori through. And now the question is, you know, what do you ban? I'm kind of thinking it's supports targeted for both sides potentially here. You know, do you want to ban away something like a Nautilus or a Rel to actually deny, you know, that combo with the MF? Obviously, HLE, I don't think is going to want to give over things like Karma and Nico. Those would be the two obvious ones for me. So it feels like you are trying to deny the best support pairings.
When I've seen HLE take the MF, they're still very happy to have to like go for this heavy roaming style as well. Basically saying, look, we've got the ultimate on the MF to use as wave clear. We can leave GUMAYUSI down in that bot lane and still keep Delight active on the map. So I am curious if they are still looking, which is the Nautilus band away, or if they still see one of these like funky early map present supports coming through.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Obviously, Bard can have some anti-synergy, but Bard can also sometimes set it up where you throw down that Bard, you shockwave off it. That's obviously banned out, though. So it'd be curious to see where he wants to go. Rail, Nautilus, those are the two I expected.
You're 3 for 3.
Nico is the last ban that I'm expecting. We'll see if we can get the 4 for 4. That is kind of the aggressive pairing alongside Ezreal if you want to play for the lane. And Nico is also something that allows you to actually play for the 2v2. So they are kind of daring them a little bit on the Nico, which is interesting. And makes me wonder if Delight is thinking about a different angle and going more towards you know, maybe a disengage support.
I like this call from Miles though, because actually just answering for the Nico, right? As the Nico tries to go for the ultimate, you just headbutt her out when she's going for the Pop Blossom, and there's little that you can do. Also still very strong when it comes towards those roams. That setup in the team fight as well. So already kind of LYON trying to snooker it, so HLE pivots.
Yeah, it is kind of cool, right? You know, they're thinking a couple steps ahead here. Delight obviously is excellent on the Alistar. So like you say, if they go the Nico, then he can take the Alistar. So they take the Alistar, so he goes Rakan. And we do have Anivia top here, but the Renekton was banned out. That was the matchup that Dhokla really did like to play yesterday. You know, it looked rough in the early lane, but I was talking to Dhokla. I was asking about that. Was it compositional? He said, no, I do actually like that 1v1. I think that's what I wanted to go for there. Gragas would be cool. Gragas is something that is very hard to punish in almost any lane. And I'm looking at MF. I'm looking at Orianna. I'm looking at champions that are potentially very easy for Gragas to get in on. And there is a ton of go buttons here. Alistar, Gragas, Lee Sin, Akali, Ezreal all over the top. You are diving in on that backline and looking to blow them up. But if you are not perfect with that dive, you have 4 melee champions stacked up for Rakan Charm, for a Shockwave, for a Glacial Storm, for all of this damage coming through from HLE.
There is a lot of interruption though from this Gragas as well. Like if you're trying to go for this Orianna combo, Cask to try and knock her back or interrupt that MF ult, could be the game plan here from LYON as well. So I really like this last pick coming through from Dhokla. But again, it feels like HLE get a lot of comfort in game number 2.
They do, but I mean, I think this is LYON's plan, right? They're saying, we need to prepare counter picks. We need to prepare things that are going to be advantageous, and we can craft a very clear game plan, right? I think they knew they were giving over Camille Ziggs. That's why they went early Poppy. Yep. That's why they went Kiana, things that they thought could attack those champions. And here, they give over Nocturne Orianna. They are not surprised that Nocturne Orianna is getting picked up. They set up for the Akali. They get the Lee Sin. They look for these aggressive picks here again that they feel are going to give them an edge in preparation. And I think LYON's preparation has been stellar. The question is, can you execute on a high enough level to beat the best LCK team here at the tournament?
It's a very difficult task to do. LYON, they hung with them there for so long in the first game, but HLE ultimately proving triumphant through their team fighting. Now in this game, the Orianna Nocturne combo, you already said it, Ezreal. This duo is so strong together, and LYON has got to be prepared to try to deal with it. I do like the Cask against 3 utterly immobile targets. It means it's harder for them to make sure that Dhokla can't get the right angle on them for the knockbacks, for the knock-ins, whatever he wants to do. But let's see what we're going to get as the minions are about to collide.
One of the things we see very often with the Nocturne, though, is this ability to invade early and try and get in your face. So with that already having, push in mid for Zeka, push on top, it should make things a little bit easier for KANAVI if he wants to try and look for these camps on the top side when they respawn. A little bit more questionable, trying to invade on towards that bottom side, but we'll have to see exactly what KANAVI's game plan is.
When Saint, as good as he is on melee champions, you are going up against Zeka, and you are playing that melee into range. So you have got to survive. It is going to be an onslaught in the early levels. It's how many of these spells can you avoid? How good can you play in these trades to be able to, minimize the damage you are taking, to Zeka and get to a point where you can actually farm?
And you talked about it in the last game, Isaac, but Zeka, back when he kind of first exploded onto everybody's radar in the DRX squad in 2022 that ended up having that World Championship anime storyline run, this guy was known for his melee champions. Now on HLE, it feels like he's really been given the room to develop as a traditional control mage type of player because he's got such an aggressive jungler in KANAVI that can give him that extra assistance. And I feel like if you're Saint, you've got to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, well, the other guy that I was keeping my eyes on from the last game was GUMAYUSI, because this guy was absolutely insane, taking out Berserker, who they used to be on T1 together. It was Berserker who was training underneath GUMAYUSI, and GUMAYUSI kind of showing him what for with this Ziggs. Now in a much more traditional AD carry matchup, Berserker would love to try and show GUMAYUSI what he's worth, but already push on the bottom side and a decent gold lead opening up there.
Absolutely is. I mean, Guma great on the MF, and it's going to be difficult in the early lane. Alistar is just useless in the early lane. And it's kind of just the price you're going to pay to play with this champ is a very weak early couple levels. But Berserker has just been so important for the success of LYON. When you think about them being competitive against BLG, you think about the big lead on the Tristana, you think about the Sivir getting to a spot where maybe you can carry the game. You think about Berserker, his Caitlyn against G2. You think about all of the contributions he has had. You need Berserker to have a good series to even stand a chance, because his team fighting has been stellar, and they really do need that threat.
And for GUMAYUSI, it's his first international tournament away from T1, right? Joining Zeus on this roster. This is a guy that wants to show up. Again, he's been to 5 MSIs in a row, has not been able to put that trophy into the case yet. He would love to add that, but you have to try and not only take down LYON here today, but try and take down BLG tomorrow once again.
You can see that KANAVI, even the level 1, he wanted to potentially go for those Raptors, but of course Inspired did take it, and now KANAVI had not yet based, so it is that double Ruby Crystal buy for Inspired, meaning there's not really a shot to challenge him there since KANAVI hadn't spent his gold. Dhokla was having a pretty tough time in that top lane, and he had to take an early base and TP back because Zeus had been holding the wave on him. So he's just trying to get that wave in, trying to get it crashed. And it'll be interesting to see where he goes. Because he's going Storm Raiders, I'm assuming that he's at least going to go some AP. Right. But I'm curious to see, is it just AP into tank? Is it like kind of hybrid? What angle does he want to go for?
Yeah, one of the big changes we saw to Gragas a while ago was the fact that his healing has been buffed on the passive, which is making him so good into some of these like ranged matchups from that, which is why, okay, Dhokla getting a nice trade in the top side, takes 2 terror shots for the on the way out, which is unfortunate, yeah.
I think it's time to maybe try to go back to base. So he's going to try to push this in. He obviously wanted to egg him, and then, if you can get the egg early, you can threaten him with ganks. You can use that pressure to bring up your jungler, maybe make something happen. You mentioned those buffs. Obviously, another one that was really, really important was the flat damage reduction on the W. That really did kind of push it back into the meta. And also, that flat damage reduction does scale with AP. So if you do go full AP, when you have that W active, of course, you have to put additional points in it to really get much from it. You can become relatively tanky, and so people kind of have different opinions on it.
Ooh, Delight getting caught out for a quick little trade down here in the bottom side. Berserker and Isles still pretty far behind in terms of farm, but Inspired is looking maybe from an angle here in the mid lane towards
about to
Zeka.
get 6.
Saint close to 6, but not quite there. Needs another minion. Inspired moving forward. Saint has found the opportunity to go in here for the ulti. Ooh, Sonic Wave misses, so the Lion play fizzles.
So Lion just back away, Zeka pushing them out. It was looking a little dicey, but fancy feel on Zeka, doesn't even have to burn the flash, and it's KANAVI now who on Vision is going to be taking this dragon in response.
Yeah, and it looked like Inspired was spotted on Vision as well.
Yeah.
The observers were trying to show us there, but Zeka didn't react, so I'm not sure if that was an observer bug or if he was actually spotted. The play not as clean as they would have liked. They were trying on the initial trade that Saint was going for to get his 6 and go for the all-in with that gank, but now Saint does have to be a little bit careful here as Zeka has Shockwave and has the power to send Saint packing.
Yep, KANAVI also working on taking this first Drake. It's ever so slightly slower than game number 1. Remember, HLE started stacking Drakes in that first one 5.5 minutes into the game, just about 6 minutes in here in game 2.
Inspired about to hit level 6 though, maybe looking at a repeat gank in mid. There is that ward there to spot him out, so...
Oh, Saint about to get solo killed if he's not careful though. Nearly taken down there as the Aerie flies out. Saint still hanging on with about 100 HP. Zeka's out of mana though, and Inspired making a move towards the mid laner. Not going to get the chance to do it, though, because KANAVI is still hanging around. Paranoia is ready to go, and Delight is also here. Isles roaming towards mid lane, too. So plenty of backup for both mid laners.
And that's why I expected Inspired to actually just shift to mid, because Saint was so low, try and give him that moment to catch the wave, but went towards the crab, has to pull to mid, and now it's actually the rotate to KANAVI to get that crab topside.
This got a little bit messed up, though, because I think that Inspired's idea was with Isles there, they were going to push out, and Saint wasn't going to base, but Saint's based as Inspired hit the wave. So now the wave actually stacked against their mid laner and pushing away from him.
Ooh, meanwhile, bottom side, GUMAYUSI exhausted by Berserker. Guma using the barrier of his own, so both non-flash summoner spells used by the bottom laners here. But look at the farm, gentlemen. It's still 3 full waves of a lead for GUMAYUSI.
Yeah, it looks like the True Shot Barrage from Berserker clipped on towards GUMAYUSI, so happy to try and go for the all-in, but as you say, Flowers, like GUMAYUSI still picking up a lot of the CS, has a nice gold lead. And as GUMAYUSI, that's perfect. Like an early BF sword is amazing for the MF.
Absolutely, and MF has really strong early laning, but it kind of gets worse once he gets the BT, because once Guma has that BT, you're shrugging off all of the poke there from Ezreal, which is why people love this matchup, why they think it is MF favored. Once you get that BT, you move the MF mid, and now Ezreal is never going to be able to trade, and if you do, you're just losing those trades, so you're going to be permanently getting pushed in, which can make things very, very difficult.
We already have that rotation for the Void Grubs, though. Even Isles using his TP just to get up here to the top side. But I do think if Lion can slow down the pace here, look at the TP tower for Dhokla. It's nearly there. So Lion may be able to look for something a bit more, especially with Isles now on this top side. Berserker crashes this wave. They move as a unit to try and get vision, but HLE are trying to beat them to the punch and start this immediately.
All right, Grubs have already begun. Here for KANAVI, he will smite down the first one. Lion shows up, Inspired flies in, wants to grab this grub here, should have no difficulty doing it. That one is secured, 1 for 1 so far. Isles trying to keep KANAVI away, wants to try to get the stun here. Paranoia right back towards him. There's no unbreakable will here for the Alistar. The Shockwave's not going to find anybody here just yet. Bullet time over the wall coming out from GUMAYUSI. Hanwha Life are looking for some kills. They haven't quite found them, but Isles is trapped behind enemy lines. The only thing left to choose is who gets first blood, and it's the man with the gun in his hand. First blood over to GUMAYUSI.
Line tried to play it slow. You end up looking at the Alistar, doesn't end up using that auto attack into the spell shield of the Nocturne, but it means that he spends so much time chasing after the Nocturne. HLE come en masse, end up fighting them off, and there's little that Lion can do.
Yeah, you can see Dhokla just trying to hold on in this matchup, and unlike last game, the lanes are not going well for LYON. We're already at a 2,000 gold lead with only that one kill being added on. It is just that pure matchup diff, that lane diff here, as Isles decided to go in on the KANAVI, but Inspired is not really in position to help. Berserker's not really in a position to help. Zeka has first move from mid, and this just makes it so hard for them to realistically have the damage to kill him.
Yeah, even though nice flash from the Shockwave, but GUMAYUSI's in a great position there with the ultimate, end up blasting down Oz health bar, and HLE are able to back away from the play after getting the kill, and they got the one grub that they wanted just to stop that 3 grub stack.
All right, 2,000 gold lead. You already said it, Ezreal. These lanes are bleeding from the LYON side. GUMAYUSI's dominance over Berserker, we've already been talking about. Zeus up about 4 waves worth of farm over Dhoklas Gragas. That just has not been a successful answer into this Anivia so far.
Yeah, and you can see the gold leads at the bottom of your screen, and it only gets harder for Lion to try and interrupt these. Inspired would love to get active into these lanes, but against the Nocturne, that becomes so incredibly difficult. He can constantly show up to match you on those side lane plays, and when you already have sizable gold leads for the individual laners, that can only balloon if it goes wrong.
Yeah, and that's the pressure now on the LYON. You've drafted for all this playmaking, and you have got to be able to make that play. You are down already over 2,000 gold here pretty early on in this game. When you choose your moment, it must work. If it does not, the gold is going to snowball too far out of control, and I think it's going to be an easy HLE win in this second game because all lanes are losing right now.
But if you're HLE, that's what you need to do, is Dhokla has to flash away.
Yeah, Dhokla in some trouble now. Zeus just continuing to march forward, going after the big man. The flash being down now puts a target on Dhokla's back.
But this is the kind of pressure you want to see from HLE. They wanted a decisive 3-0 so they can go in towards BLG tomorrow and say, that one series we had, a complete fluke. We still have enough in the tank to take that fight to you. And it looks like right now that fight seems to be over the Dragon.
All right, Inspired and LYON are going to be the side to start it up first, but KANAVI's hanging out over the back side of the wall. Zeka also has the Shockwave ready to go, so keep your eyes out for the combo. Dhokla with a nice knock on Zeus back into the turret. Meanwhile, the team fight down here with the bottom side river at the same time. The Paranoia is already going to be used. LYON's got to be careful here, focusing down on towards the junglers instead, but KANAVI is going to die to Berserker. The first kill goes over to LYON as Berserker gets a double kill. HLE's on the run as Delight and GUMAYUSI try to escape. Isles on the chase here, finds the auto attack for the stun. Meanwhile, up at the top side, Zeus looking to find the dive on the Dhokla, nearly kills him off here with a Glacial Storm. Dhokla stays alive. Zeus is knocked back into the egg. And LYON triumphs in the dragon fight while Dhokla survives in the top lane.
That is a massive team fight win there for LYON. They get the dragon, they get 2 kills. Dhokla survives and eggs Zeus on the top. So even though they can't finish off Guma or Delight, they pull themselves back into the game. That was critical. You get stomped in that fight, I think it's pretty much lights out. So a massive fight there for LYON, winning out on both sides and being able to hang on, keep themselves within striking distance.
Yeah, and I was a little nervous there because I saw Saint go in and was like, uh-oh, he's managed to get himself CC'd, but you can see here, doesn't actually matter. The arcane shift away is perfect. This is where you end up with the exhaust coming in on towards the Akali. Doesn't quite get the burst, but KANAVI has gone down. Inspired in the pit is doing so much work.
Inspired was doing so much work, and Berserker's positioning in this one was great. They couldn't get any threat onto him whatsoever. LYON had great target selection. They focused down the Nocturne, knock him out of the fight, and then even though they can't get those extra kills, it's eyes on the dragon.
And for Berserker, critically, that fight was huge. We've been talking about him falling behind this entire laning phase. Getting both of those kills in the exchange puts him on his Trinity Force power spike, makes this Ezreal relevant yet again. Isles jumps in after Delight, but he cannot get enough trample stacks to get the follow-up auto attack stun. Inspired hanging around right behind him, wants to at least steal away the big Krug here. Inspired and the rest of LYON now. They've found KANAVI inside the jungle. He pops the Paranoia, trying to keep himself alive. KANAVI down to 1 hit. He tries to get away over the wall, but Saint is ready to assassinate him, and LYON find a kill.
Yeah, KANAVI tries to use Saint to ult out, but all he accomplishes is giving the Akali a free kill there. Donates it right where LYON would want it. Zeka pushing on this top side, but still LYON keeping it close. A couple kills in the lead, which is the only thing that is doing that because it had been HLE stomping these lanes.
But LYON know what side their bread is buttered on. They end up dropping that wave in mid, so GUMAYUSI does get a place, but they know that they need to try and play for this 1-3-1 around Saint. They immediately invade onto the bottom side. They get the pick on the KANAVI. They're opening up the ability for Saint to now, with the tempo lead they got off the Dragon fight, get control of those side lanes. And if LYON are able to keep up this pace, this is where you can start to turn the tides.
And we'll see how they're going to be able to execute here because, you know, Dhokla, he is going AP, and we'll see if he continues going, you know, full on AP because AP Gragas is an all or nothing champ. You either are the hero or you are the zero. You body slam flash, one shot their carry, knock them into your team, you look like a god. You go in, that cast whiffs or knocks them to safety or they flash the combo, you just die and accomplish nothing at all.
The nice thing is we can look over at Keijo to see if he's giving us the boss thumbs up for the Gragas build or not, to see how that one's going. So at least we got an expert in here we can double check with.
The other thing I gotta say is this is only the second Gragas game of Dhokla's entire career, and he has been playing for a very long time. You know, not even playing back when it was that tier top Gragas meta, the tank meta, before that had been nerfed. So we'll see how clean is he gonna be on it.
All right, Rift Herald has begun. HLE starting up this next main objective. They still have a 500 gold lead as a team, but LYON is here ready to challenge yet again. HLE already have it down to below half HP. Isles here on the side, wants to try to control Delight. Knocks Zeka back over the wall as HLE try to turn onto Dhokla instead. Putting a lot of damage here into the Gragas. The Rift Herald is going to be secured by LYON as Saint and Isles have to try to get back away. Saint jumping in, wants to go grab a kill, and he gets one onto Zeus. Now Isles with a two-man knockup, bullet time over the wall, takes him out. KANAVI trying to get away as Inspire goes in for the big kick, but he doesn't find a kill. Berserker wants to follow. GUMAYUSI falls. Saint's in the middle of everybody. LYON smells blood, and it's HLE left bleeding. 3 for 3.
HLE bodies are littered across Summoner's Rift as LYON find the perfect play. The ward is huge for Saint because it TPs him into the middle of everyone.
Yeah, Saint is going to be able to TP in. It's eyes on the objective to start things off. Dhokla goes in aggressively onto Zeus, and KANAVI tries to turn on him, but KANAVI was already pretty low. The disengage cast bought some time. As you can see, Saint and Isles and Berserker getting in, and it's again another fight where Berserker is free. At the end of the day, it is a bloody one, and it is even on both sides, but it is the objective claimed by LYON, and that is what is giving them the edge. Very close margins here to trying to get even more, as the Light was able to limp away and Zeka's able to get away. Inspired looking frustrated with how that fight ended.
Just couldn't quite get the kick over the wall that he was looking for, the flash a little sideways, and it means that that tower that was stacking for them doesn't quite stand when it comes to the kills. But either way, I think LYON looking good, 4 to 6. It's still even, and you can see the damage that Saint turned out of that fight. The teleport into the mist was perfect, but look at the top side. HLE looking for the play, so LYON respond on boss.
Yup, LYON want to make the move here in the bottom lane. Zeus trying to get himself out of that one. He has the egg, but it's not going to matter. Isles just absorbs the last turret shot, makes sure his allies take no damage. The kill goes over to LYON, and they're going to get the turret on top of it. Yes, HLE is pushing here in the top lane, but bottom side, the turret's already been claimed, and the Herald is summoned up to try to make a move towards the tier 2. Now GUMAYUSI trying to push the tier 1 turret here in mid. Dhokla wanted to clear out the wave, trying to get away for now, but the fear is already procced, and HLE have found a target of their own. They collapse and find the kill onto Dhokla. Meanwhile, here in the bottom lane, that tier 2 is under pressure from the Herald, and LYON's going to secure that as well.
Dhokla trying to go for a big play there. He held the wave and then ulted Guma into the tower, hoping the tower could take out Guma, but Guma was able to finish off that turret, so the play goes bad. Zeka here pushing on that top side. It is a couple towers going the way of LYON, but there's plates going over to Zeka. There's a turret going mid lane to Guma. So at the end of the day, we are dead even in gold. Back-to-back games that we are looking like it is going to team fights. It's going to be a Hextech Soul game again, but both teams only have the one dragon until right now. LYON going to be able to take that lead.
And LYON are definitely putting a lot of resources in towards Saint. Like, even they could have moved to protect Dhokla on the plane but they said, no, we want to use that Rift Herald charge. We want to go for the tier 2. We want to get some of that gold in towards this 3-0-3 Akali. And I think it's a solid choice. Like, there's not really people who can contest Saint on a side lane right now.
There absolutely aren't in that side lane, and the reality is Inspired has so much faith in Saint as a player. A lot of their struggles early on in Split 1, in lock-in, were around Saint, and they tried to adjust.
All right, Dhokla under pressure yet again. 4-man play coming out from HLE. And GUMAYUSI peppers him full of holes. Another kill over to Misfortune. That's 4.
And as you say, that's the downside of this full AP Gragas. Doesn't have the sustainability to try and manage some of these plays. Line were not in position to cover, and now it's Dhokla falling once again.
Yeah, Dhokla definitely falling behind in this spot, but at least he will have the playmaking ability. You have the chance to try to make that body slam flash play happen. But, back to that earlier point, Saint, was really struggling to gel with this team, and there was a lot of changes that LYON made to try to enable Saint, to put him in a position where he felt confident that he would be the one to carry the game, to not defer to others, to do what is best for him because they believe in his ability to carry in team fights, to step up mechanically, and that is one of the big changes that put them ahead.
Saint going in, looks for that solo kill after Zeka, and he finds it with a perfect execution. Zeka flashes, but it will not matter. Saint gets away from the turret, uses his teleport to escape as Zeus wanted to get the revenge kill, but Saint's out of there.
And it's plays like that that give them the faith here. He's 10 stacks on the Dark Seal, just finished the Shadow Flame, got a TP off that, got the flash and ult off that from Zeka, and makes it look easy. Notice how he held that shuriken flip until after the shockwave was used, because Zeka was trying to use that to interrupt the damage on that E coming back through. He waits out the shockwave, finishes him off beautifully, and TP's out to safety.
And now you have no flash on this Orianna for a Dragon Soul point fight in 3 minutes time, and that's where I think LYON can start to look for it, especially Inspired if he can find that kick. Suddenly that Orianna, very vulnerable, but we get to watch it again as Saint finds the all-in.
And this is the E I'm talking about. So Zeka is expecting the reactivation of the E. He goes for the shockwave to try to interrupt that damage. Saint waits it out, follows on that flash, gets the kill, sees the TP coming in, and TP's out to safety. And Inspired now is behind him.
Yep, Delight's going to get tagged by Sonic Wave. Resonating Strike ready to follow, but Inspired is not in the right spot. He gets himself away to safety for now, but HLE is on the hot. Paranoia coming out from KANAVI, wants to go in after Berserker, but KANAVI's going to be first to die. Inspired still alive, but Guma finally finishes him. Zeka picked off to the left side, but he barely gets away for now until the R2 comes in. 3 already dead on HLE, and Isles wants more. Zeus tries to get away with a point-blank Flash Frost. The Crystallize cannot stop Saint. HLE are crumbling, and LYON take 4 for 1.
Make it 5 because they're going for Baron here. It is just Delight alive as Inspired could get nothing in that fight, but the cast from Dhokla finds Guma, they take him out, and now they have to pull off that Baron. They decide it is a bridge too far.
Delight had Smite, he changed with the Unsealed Spellbook, so not having that Summoner spell available, they decide to back away, but still LYON, huge plays. Look at your carries, 6-0 on Saint and Berserker. That is insane.
I mean, Inspired has been doing so much carrying throughout this tournament, and now this is a pretty big misstep from Inspired here. He goes in, and he goes for a kick flash just to try to disengage. Ward hops out, but it's the carry's turn to take over. Look at this cask knocking in Guma as he steps forward. Guma goes up, and this to me is what really changes the fight right here. That cask into the body slam, Berserker takes him out.
It was also the fact Inspired stayed alive for so long. The shield coming through, the heal coming off of the Alistar, then the Sundered Sky proc, means that then GUMAYUSI does overextend, which gives that option to Dhokla.
Absolutely. I mean, he lived as long as he could, and Inspired having a little bit of a laugh. Not the cleanest of Lee Sin kicks, I will say, but look at the difference between the damage coming out of these carries from LYON.
Good Lord, man. 5,000 apiece on Saint and Berserker. That's how you earn your 6-0.
And what a difference as far as vision control, as far as map control compared to last game, right? Last game it felt like, yeah, LYON are close in gold. The dragon spawns, you look at the map, they can't even go close. This time, they are the ones leading in the dragons. It is a Hextech Soul available, and we can see in our Coinbase Gold grind, it is a pretty significant lead here for Saint. He has the Seekers for this fight, which will be very big. And look at him trying to find an angle in behind HLE.
Yeah, that 1.8 goal lead immediately invested into safety, because if he can get access to the backline, there's so little available. Remember, Orianna, still no flash.
Okay. fighting for the next Drake. It's
Spotted.
number 4, 2-1, favoring Lion so far in the Dragon count. Saint still hanging out on the backside of the pit. HLE stepping forward as a 5-man unit. Dhokla inspired, keeping themselves safe. The Dragon aggroed, but very low DPS on the objective. True Shot Barrage tags Zeka. Saint still waiting, hiding in the fog, looking for his opportunity to go in. Keep your eyes on Dhokla. If they want to try to make a move, he goes for the flash. He knocks into Light. The Rakan's about to die, but he gets away for now. Here with a shield. The Protobelt plus Ignite might just burn him down. Saint goes over the wall, goes godlike. The Light's already gone. Lion, they get the single kill on the support, but it's enough to earn them control of the bottom side river and claim Soul Point.
A very quick reaction there from Zeus, gets himself out to safety. He was fast with that reactive flash, but because they caught the Light, because Saint finishes them off, they get uncontested third Dragon here. Saint gets another kill, and he is starting to run away with this one.
Nice mechanics from Saint in the fight as well. Throws down that W, and Shuriken flips away over the wall to get the kill, then use the Shuriken flip back too. So very nicely done on the Akali. And with Lion now, this is like, they are in such a strong position. 3 Dragons, the gold lead, map control, the ability to push in a 1-3-1. It's tough for HLE to come back here.
It is, but they have been in these positions before against BLG, and they couldn't get it across the finish line. They need to stay cool, calm, and collected in these moments. They need to show that they can actually kill the Nexus. We can see this one more time. It is about Dhokla here. He looks for the body slam flash. Look how fast Zeus reacts, gets away, but the cask does catch the Light. And here's what you're talking about with Saint.
Yeah, Saint ends up putting down the W there. Shuriken flips over the wall, gets the Hextech Gunblade kill, and then immediately hops back over before HLE can really respond. So nicely done by Saints on the back end.
It's always funny to see something like a Gunblade actually get the last hit on someone, since it's normally doing so little damage, just facilitates the combo.
It's actually doing the name.
Yeah,
doing the thing.
It's more gun than blade in that one. But Lion, with their 2,000 gold lead, with Soul Point, they're definitely in a good position, but you cannot underestimate HLE, the team fighting on this squad. Remember, it was this barren area team fight in game number 1 that really locked things in for HLE, and Lion now have to respect them as HLE moves into the Lion red jungle.
And these choke points are so dangerous for them, but Lion just want to let Saint push in that bottom side of the map. But if you end up falling prey to a shockwave into that MF ult, that's where it could be lights out for Lion.
Instantly, you know, and that is the power that HLE has. You could be 5K up. If Delight gets a charm on multiple people, they get shockwaved and the bullet time comes over top, your lead means nothing. You're instantly dead. And that is why Lion have got to stay locked in, have got to show that they can actually shut the door on a team like HLE with the advantage they have.
And Zeka's gone for a very greedy build. Traditionally, what we've seen against the Akalis is the like of that Rod of Ages. So you have the health to survive in a side lane against the Akali. He's gone full damage. He wants to make sure you can have that big burst in the fight, only the Seekers as a defense.
Exactly. Does have that Seekers now, which will be critical. And we'll see if he can find that perfect activation. As Zeus is pushing out bot, trying to get tempo there. Lion wanting to push in and try to knock down this turret, but Guma is just constantly clearing out the waves.
Seekers available for both solo lane mages on the HLE side, as well as for Saint, who does have 10 stacks on his now Magi Soul Stealer, really trying to snowball forward, find more success in these fights. Inspired and Isles both hanging around. If HLE wants to go after Saint, they are going to find Lion ready to respond. Dhokla clearing waves over in the bottom side right now, does have the teleport ready to respond. Dhokla is down 2.5 levels compared to Zeus. Level 15 Gragas versus the level 17 Anivia. This could be a big difference maker in these upcoming fights. If Dhokla doesn't land a huge value cask like he did on GUMAYUSI in this previous top river fight, the Gragas will not be able to do anything near what Anivia can.
Absolutely true. I mean, Gragas is one round of spells, and that's his value. That's basically all he's going to be bringing.
KANAVI knocked up into the air there, as immediately now coming right back in here with the paranoia, but no, it's inspired! Finding the kick on GUMAYUSI. Lion looks for the damage. Massive 3-man knockup coming out with a pulverize from Isles. Berserker goes godlike and GUMAYUSI goes down. KANAVI with the flash over the wall. The cast comes out. KANAVI under pressure from Inspired yet again as the tier 1 turret falls. Saint continuing to dive forward. KANAVI is on the run. Both bottom laners as well as the top laner of HLE are nothing but corpses. Lion 3 for nothing. Lion get a turret. Lion going to Baron.
Inspired stepping up massively there. The kick flash onto Guma is a game changer. The Nocturne lives but has no health, has no flash, has to go back to base. It is 50 seconds until Soul. They're going to get Baron, and they are going to head straight there to try to seal the deal.
Saint Seeker's arm guard was clutch as well. KANAVI immediately tries to jump on with that shockwave combo, but they weren't able to make it happen. We'll see it at the start of the fight here. So as KANAVI tries to turn, jumps onto Saint, the shockwave, the stasis, the turnaround from Inspired with the kick, it all picture perfect from Line.
Wardhop, kick flash, Guma gets caught, in goes Saint, and Saint is just dancing around in this fight, playing it beautifully. The cast from Dhokla, knocking back KANAVI, they can go in, that tower has no health, so it's not safety there. Look at this from Saint. Dodges the knockup from Delight, but we are back to live. Dhokla getting spotted.
Yep, Dokla's going to be found by Delight. It is LYON with a 4,500 gold lead. It's LYON who will claim the soul if they take this next dragon. HLE, they know they have to stop this.
Saint got enough gold after killing that tower. He has a full Zonius.
Okay, Guardian Angel also available on Inspired. Seeker's Arm Guard also purchased for Berserker. So both LYON carries. Very easy to protect themselves from the Paranoia Shockwave combo. Saint clearing out the ward off to the side over here as LYON still continue just waiting for HLE to try to approach them. Sonic Wave onto KANAVI. Inspired not going to follow that one here with a resonating strike. Instead going to turn attention back over to the Drake. Delight over the wall. Sonic Wave collides with the Rakan. The Dragon still at about half HP. True Shot Barrage finds Zeus. Saint goes in. Remember, there's no egg. He already lost it in the previous fight. Zeus is about to die right here, and Dhokla takes him out. Revenge for the laning phase as LYON killing the enemy top laner. Now just want to guarantee they take the soul. Zeka wants to see if there's a cheeky steal, but he's going to be zoned away by Dhokla and Isles, and LYON claim the Hextech soul.
LYON give him no chance at the 50-50. It is picture perfect play here. They hold their lines. They attack Zeus on the side. They catch him. They burst him down. And now it's a full court press. They're going.
All right, KANAVI wants to full send it again. They're trying to make a move here with the bottom side with the Paranoia play, but Saint staying alive here with the smoke. Zeka keeping himself in the stasis for now. Dhokla goes after GUMAYUSI with a True Shot Barrage over the top. KANAVI is already dead. Sonic Wave resonating strike. GUMAYUSI on the run. Inspired chases after Zeka. He needs a couple of more hits and he's got him. LYON just aced them. LYON are in the base. And LYON tear the throat out of HLE in game 2.
LYON are gonna do it. We've got a tied series here against the #1 team from the LCK.
Zeus respawns, but there's nothing the Anivia can do alone. LYON were down 2,000 gold in lane, but they bring it back and tie it up.